Welcome everybody to this episode of The Mind Method. We're coming to you live from Florida, sunny Florida. We took a little family vacation and right before the holiday season with the kids and the in-laws.
Kids are by the pool right now.
Yep, splashing away. They're loving life. And we thought this would be a great opportunity. It's the end of the year for us to do a recap of our last year and how far we've come in our lives and our journey, and share that with you. And I think highlight the key points where we saw the biggest shifts in our lives and what helped to propel us to where we are now. Yeah. Is that about right?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
Mm-hmm. So let's go back to where we were a year ago. So a year ago, we were both employees, broke employees, and trading our time for money. Not fulfilled, not very happy, just feeling like we were stuck in the grind, right?
Yeah. And I would say too, we've always had a very good relationship, right? We've always been very compatible, but we definitely were at the point where we had been parents and employees for a really long time, and things felt maybe a little bit stagnant in the sense that we both really wanted to just provide for our family better, have a better lifestyle, have more time together and more freedom. And it just wasn't happening for either of us. Mm-hmm. And so things were kind of, feeling a little bit like they were stuck.
Yeah, we were stuck.
I would say.
We were stuck. And I think part of that came with the fact that we bought into the concept of work hard. You got to work hard. You got to make a living. That's the only way to do it. And we had to totally shift everything that we were thinking, everything that we were doing, our perspective on everything in life.
Oh, can I just say, I would say also we probably were both at separate times feeling like maybe this is as good as things are going to get.
Yeah.
Maybe this is kind of like, maybe we've maxed out our potential, and maybe the rest of our lives, when you turn 40 or about to turn 40, you start thinking, is what I have as good as it's going to get?
Yeah. And definitely, for me, Tamar was a little bit over 40. I was approaching 40. And I thought, I'm not where I want to be in my career as far as success and what I've accomplished. I'm not where I want to be financially as far as stability and security for my family. And I wasn't fulfilled enough in my life where I felt like I still needed more, and I still had more inside that I hadn't quite explored. Right?
Yeah, you especially. You had been always such an ambitious person. And I watched you become so deflated because you would work so hard and you would bring in so many initiatives and you were so enthusiastic. You were one of the people who, when you're at work, really showed up. You want to make your work a better place. You want everybody to do better. And I watched you try to introduce all of these things that would have made the workplace better, that would have made our community safer, that would have made everybody there better. And just because of the type of work that it was, it wasn't an environment that really promoted and encouraged creativity and initiative and getting better. Mm-hmm. And so I watched you sort of try so hard and then continue to kind of just
hit the ceiling
of your own potential. And you knew that you had so much more to offer, and you knew that there was so much growth that you had within you. And so after a few years of not being able to move ahead and move forward, I saw the toll that took on you.
Mm-hmm. And I think for a lot of people, anyone listening to this can probably relate. Like if you're at a job that you've been at for many years and you're not getting the promotions that you want, you're not getting the paycheck that you think you deserve, you're not getting not even just the work, but you're not getting the lifestyle from your employment that you think you deserve or that you really desire. And we all can have a better lifestyle. We can all have abundance. And so we sat down and we're like, we need to drastically change, or 10 years down the road, we're going to be in the same place. So let's do something now so that 10 years from now, life is easier, happier, more fulfilling, more disposable income for trips and memories and time with family. And that was the priority. So it was like, let's shift something now and not keep waiting year after year, day after day, week, months goes by, And then you wake up and you're 50 and you go, dang, now I feel like I'm too old to start this all over again, right? So last year we made a shift. We were both working very hard, long hours, and still not getting ahead, very much in debt, and we didn't really have a plan. So what shifted for us was personal development. When we took the initiative of investing in ourselves, that's when things really started to turn around, because as soon as we change our perspective from this is all we can do and this is the limit on our potential, and we learned that we can go and create anything once we change the way we think, well, we started thinking in different ways, and that caused us to start acting differently, and sure enough we had different results. And I had a goal of 10 million in assets this year, and we're going to hit just under 8 million this year. And for me to even say that, I just want to say, like, a year ago, if you had told me you guys are going to close $8 million in real estate in 1 year, I'd be like, there's no way I can even do 1 million in a year. So to even say that is kind of like, I'm having a moment of like looking back through the telescope, where it seems now where we are so distant from where we started in just 12 months.
Yeah, I want to just rewind a little bit past this past year, because for anybody who hasn't watched some of our other episodes, they might not know that in the last 4 years, you had decided to invest in real estate as well.
Right.
So you were in the job that, you were not getting promoted and you were not realizing your full potential. Mm-hmm. And so you had decided to invest in real estate, taking courses. You had several mentors. Mm-hmm. So Matt spent many, many years around many people, learning as much as possible in the real estate world. And at the time, because I was very risk averse, I wanted nothing to do with it. So I, at first, tried to say that we should not do it. But when I saw that you were really going to plow ahead, regardless of how I felt about it, I decided, okay, you do you, but I just don't want to know about it. Mm-hmm. And we made an agreement that you would invest whatever savings there were. And I just was not going to be privy to the numbers, because I really didn't want to, I did not want to take on the stress of knowing the numbers or how much we stood to lose. I just said, basically, tell me if we need to move into a cardboard box, because we've lost all of our, investments and all the money that we have in the bank. But Matt actually made a really good decision with real estate. He bought a really good property, and I saw the amount of time that you were putting into really perfecting your knowledge of real estate, the different markets, underwriting, and all of the different skills that you needed. And so I was able to hop on board and actually begin to encourage you with the real estate, but the real estate also didn't move forward.
The real estate also didn't move forward.
So the work didn't move forward and the real estate didn't move forward.
Yeah.
So the personal development from a year ago, the recap that we're doing, this is all the things leading up to it, because in fact, not only was the jobs not moving forward, but the real estate also was not moving forward, because you had to purchase a duplex, and then 4 years later, we still only owned one duplex.
That's right.
So I just want to say
that. For multiple reasons, right? Like, and no matter where you are in your journey, maybe you don't have $100,000 to invest initially in a property, and you're thinking to yourself, I don't think I have enough money to even get into real estate. And I would say now where I am on this side is, it's a limited belief. You can start into real estate with no money. And really the best step you can do is invest in a mentor and invest in someone who can teach you how to acquire real estate for no money. And it's possible. And I know lots of people doing it right now. I'm doing it myself. And that's part of it. But going back even further, I think there's a big discussion there between couples where one partner wants to do something very risky, and the other partner is very risk adverse, right?
Yeah. 100%.
And I think a lot of couples that we meet, we talk to them, it's like that. Like, men are very much more, what's the word?
Daring.
More daring. That we're willing to chance more. We're willing to risk more. And women more often are needing that security, right? And that knowing that their home is protected, their children are fed, and everything is safe. And
Yes, mind
Is
you.
that right?
Yeah, 100%. But I will also say that almost 100% of the men that we talk to that have jobs with a good pension say the same thing.
That's true. That's true. They don't want to leave the pension.
They don't want to leave the pension. So
that's true. So it may not be a male-female thing, but
yeah.
personality-wise,
Yeah.
I'm more tuned to risk. She's more
Yes.
risk-adverse. And I think for a lot of couples, there's usually one of both, or a lot of people will have relationships where both are very risk-adverse. Mm-hmm. And what I would say to you guys is we're a shining example of that exact thing playing out, where we had to come to a decision where 10-year goal of let's actually start something to build something versus instead of living paycheck to paycheck and having nothing, let's make a decision that that's a priority. And if we can agree on that from a base point, now there's a certain level of she's a risk adverse to the investing in real estate. It sounds very scary. What if you lose it all? To I know it's a priority. Maybe just dabble in it and see how it goes. And then we'll just go a little bit and see how it goes. And that's where it started. And it went well. And then it kept building. And 5 years later, we have almost $8 million in real estate, which I think for most people is hard to grasp, because I can tell you personally, a year ago, even 5 years ago, I would have never thought in a million years that in our lifetime we would have that many assets. I didn't think we would own that many. I didn't think our net worth would be in the millions. And those are all limiting beliefs. And anyone can do what we do. We're just regular people. And I think the point is there's a life that's available to anyone if they just go for it. And if you continue to believe it's too risky, that sounds like BS, only they're lucky, we're not them, we could never do that, I'm not smart enough, limiting belief, limiting belief, limiting belief. And you will continue to live inside that box of limiting beliefs your entire life.
Yeah, and or getting so off topic now from our 12-month recap, but since we're talking about this now, I think what I want to say also is I do get a lot of people asking me who are in a couple, I don't really know how to bring this stuff up with my spouse. Either they're doing personal development or they're doing the real estate. The partner is the other one who's not into any of it, because both sound a little bit different and they don't really, they're not sure about it. And they always say, how do I broach this with my partner? And I speak from personal experience when I say my advice is always the same. And it's don't talk about it too much. Do it and let them see your results. Mm-hmm. Because when the partner, like myself, watches from the sidelines, I wouldn't have wanted you to come to me all the time and say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. And I would keep telling you, I don't really want to know. I don't want the numbers. I don't want to be involved. You do it. I trust you, but it's got to be your thing. But what ended up happening is watching from the side, I watched you become an expert in the industry.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I watched you execute things successfully. And I watched the amount of time, hours, and effort that you were putting into it. And so slowly my comfort level really expanded to the point where I became curious. And so I was able to come to you and ask questions, and you were really good about letting me know the information that I wanted to know without shoving it down my throat. And with the personal development, even more so. If you are in a journey of personal development and your partner's a little bit, unsure of what it is and doesn't want to get involved, it's the same philosophy. You don't need to push it down their throat. Let them observe you and your results, because I bet you what's going to happen is they're going to notice such a big difference in you that they will naturally come to you and begin to become curious. And that's perfect.
Yeah.
Because then you can, provide the information on an as needed basis, or as they become, curious about it. And then they can also observe, because when you do personal development and when you do personal growth, it's infectious. People will notice.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk about it ad nauseum.
No.
You just have to be you on this journey, and people around you will respond to your growth. And we've had a lot of couples who at first the partner was very unsure about it. And then soon enough, they saw the difference in their partner and said, what are you doing? And can I be involved? Yeah.
Like Chad and Megan recently, we met them in BC, and we had the pleasure of meeting Chad and his wife, and we had never met Megan before. And I said, what have you seen in this man? What is the difference you've seen in 3 months since he started the program? And she said, it's night and day.
Yeah.
And I was like, stop, night and day? Like, that's huge. To say your partner is different night and day in 3 months from personal development is wildly mind-blowing. And how encouraging. And now she's on the calls, which is like, to see two people come to the program, change their lives, become better people. He's volunteering now. He's giving to his community. What a beautiful story. And like, how empowering is that? Like that, our clients, our students empower and inspire us.
Oh yeah.
Right. And they always tell us like, you're so inspiring. And I'm like, it's the other way around. Like watching you guys grow inspires us so much. And what a gift. To Tamar's point though, if you are in personal development and you do have a spouse or partner that's not really into it,
or in real estate,
the term I always use is show, don't tell, right? People often want to tell instead of show. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm doing this. You got to see this. I'm doing this. Don't say a word, move in silence and show them. Execute, change yourself, change your attitude, change your energy. Change how much gratitude you move with during the day and execute on real estate. And then they're going to come to you and go, what's going on with you? And they will come to you and that's when you tell. So show, then tell. Right?
Agree.
So back to the recap. A year ago, we were completely broke, tens of thousands of dollars in debt. The program we started getting into and taking personal development really had a shift for us in unlocking our limited beliefs and our perspectives of ourselves, money, how the world works with abundance. And one of the biggest shifts for me was learning like the law of receiving. The law of receiving was like, I think was a huge pivotal point for me because I was able to get rid of my ego and myself and stop thinking of what I need. What do I want? And in a very selfish way, even though I think I was a good partner and a good dad, I was still very much like, what do I want? I want more real estate. I want more financial freedom. I want a nicer car. I. And when I learned the law of receiving, I was able to release all of those things and turn my focus to how can I help other people? How can I give value to others who aren't in a great place and who just need help? And the moment that I shifted from myself and I focused my energy outward to giving, that's when everything started showing up. Like deals started showing up, financing, funding, like deals would come together, like fall out of the sky. And it really blew my mind how different life is when you stop thinking about yourself. That makes sense?
Yeah. It's funny because you talk so much about the law of receiving and I completely agree. I would also add to that one of the biggest shifts for you in the last 12 months has been the belief, right? Gaining the belief because you started off a year ago taking a course on how to raise capital and use other people's money. And you came out of it completely unaware of how to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And it was when you tapped into the belief that you were the person who is worthy and capable of raising capital, you became that and then you attracted it. So I would say also that sense of faith for so many people that's what gets lost at this point in life. They lose their belief that things they lose their belief in themselves. They lose the belief that things are going to work out. They lose the belief that you can ask for really big things because they don't know how to get it. Right. And so you learn that you actually don't need to know how. You come from the end goal first, and the how fills itself in for you. Right. And so that was something really big that changed actually for both of us, I would say too.
Well, I was just going to say, it's not even the belief in me and myself. I watched you do crazy things. Even earlier this year, not even a whole year ago, she left a job, a very high paying job that she had worked toward, a work from home job, a very good job. And she just up and like quit with no job lined up. And for anyone listening to this, like that's Society does tell us that's a crazy thing to do. That is a foolish thing to do. That is a risky thing. It's dangerous. How could you? How are you going to pay the bills? Blah, blah, blah. She had ultimate belief. I don't know how I'm going to make money. I don't know where the next paycheck's coming from. I don't know where I'm going to get hired or how I'm going to earn an income, but I'm leaving where I don't like I am right now. And I'm going to go and believe that I can create something better. And that belief inspired me. And it was only a few short months later that I did the same thing. Again, with no idea how the next month's bills are going to get paid.
And we really didn't know how the next
And we were both jumping off the cliff with no parachute. But
when I left, we still had your income. When you left, it was...
that was it. We had nothing. But I want to say this because I've seen a lot of people, a lot of gurus, a lot of the people that I see that we all see on social media and Instagram, the successful people. One thing that I've noticed that they all say is the same thing is that the hardest things that you go through in life is where you grow the most, right? And so this past year for us has been probably the hardest year for us financially, spiritually, emotionally, in our marriage, the hardest year ever.
Not in our marriage.
No? Oh, okay. We've had harder years, I guess. But we've had the most growth.
Yeah.
Right? And
it's been the most uncomfortable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that growth came from going through those hard times. And I think most people, our whole life is trying to avoid the discomfort. Right? We're trying to comfort ourselves constantly. We're going to plop down and watch the Netflix instead of reading a book. We're going to go to a Leaf game for 3 hours instead of going to a seminar and learning a new skill. We're going to constantly go to the comfort as opposed to the discomfort. And that's where the growth is. And I encourage anyone listening to this, please, 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 you have to learn the habit of getting out of your comfort zone and into the discomfort and growth. Mm-hmm. And that's where the gold is. If you want to change your life, change your finances, change anything about your world and your reality, it's through the discomfort because that's where you grow. It's the only way.
Yeah, you touched on something really important, and that is the concept of failure. Because people are so afraid to fail that they just don't get started in anything. And I have learned, what we have learned is that failure is something to be celebrated. You are not going to have success without failure. And spoiler alert, you're not going to have huge success without probably several failures, including maybe a major failure. Yeah. So anytime that you have a failure, most people will take that as their sign to stop and to go back to their comfort zone, and that they were not meant to do whatever it was that they attempted to try doing, right? Because they failed. And so failure is a sign that you're doing it wrong and you need to stop and go back to what you were doing before, go back to your comfort zone. Whereas failure, once you push through it, on the other side of failure is growth. And in order to become a successful person, that failure is going to mold you into a successful person. If you are going to start a new business, you are going to encounter obstacles. You are going to get overwhelmed. You are going to feel like it's not working. You are going to feel like you're doing it wrong.
But if you made a mistake.
Yeah, you made a mistake or that it's not meant for you. So if you go with that and you stop and you take this as a signal that you're not good at it, well, guess what? Now you failed because you've stopped doing it.
Oh, that's a good one. I hear people say this all the time. I just hit a wall and I feel like it's a sign from God that I shouldn't be doing this. Red flag. And I'm like, no, not at all. This is the part where people fall short. Like, what's the saying? 1 foot or 1 inch from gold. Like, there's a saying about it, and it's
the plant.
That's where people stop when it gets the hardest. And the road is always the hardest right before the breakthrough, right before the money comes through, right before the business like excels and takes off. And that's when people close up shop, shut down, go, well, this must be a sign that I shouldn't be doing this. Absolutely not. That is the best sign that you should keep pushing forward. And everyone I have seen ahead of me, and this is another thing about pick who you follow really carefully, right? You want to follow people who are super successful and who have failed and who are real about it. Like, not someone who's like, oh, I'm just a millionaire and I make the best decisions and money just comes to me easily and that's just the best. Everyone has trials and struggles and challenges. And the people that I follow, the people that I look up to, the mentors in business and finance and real estate that I follow, all say the same thing. Right when you feel like you should quit, right when you feel like you've made the biggest mistake of your life and you have no money left, you are about to throw in the towel, that's when you push forward. That is the moment of greatness and growth. When you push forward in faith and belief, like Tamar was saying, belief that this is your true path, and then success is on the other side. It's that final push when everything seems lost. That's the moment when you push ahead.
Yeah, and there's going to be times where you feel like you're at that breaking point and you push ahead, but it wasn't the breaking point, and guess what? You get a new one.
You get a new breaking point, or a few more.
Yeah, so it's a journey. You really need to prove your perseverance.
Yep.
And so I'm just saying, like, it's not just going to be the one time where you're like, made it past that hurdle. Now things are going to be smooth sailing.
We thought that in March. We thought that 9 months ago, and it's just been
85 times.
Yeah.
We're like, this is it. After this, it's going to get easy.
It can't get harder than this. And it does.
This is the worst.
Yeah.
This is our rock bottom.
Yeah.
After this, smooth sailing. Yeah. No.
More challenges, but how beautiful, because more growth.
Embrace them.
More growth.
Yeah. Embrace it. Celebrate it.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrate it and keep going.
I think for anyone who's listening, if you're at a point in your life where you want to make a change, you want something more to life, you will have to get to a point and just, I think, have a conversation with yourself and say, am I willing to go all in on myself? Am I willing to just not give up? Even when it gets hard, even when it's scary, am I willing to just take that one step forward into the unknown? And if you are, you will succeed. And then you can have the belief that it's going to be okay. You're going to make it no matter what. You just don't give up. And for us, I just want to say, it's terrifying when you start, but we are 1 year in and we have accomplished so much from where we started a year ago, 70 grand in debt, and like sometimes I'm almost in disbelief of how far and how many things we've accomplished, not just the real estate. Like we now have our own business. We have a podcast, which is pretty cool. We're being invited onto podcasts. I was just cast in a movie. Like there's all these things that are happening. We're being invited to speak on stages, and it's these things that a year ago I couldn't see. Mm-hmm. We didn't even believe were even tangible things in our lives because we just saw the world through this little box, this lens of our limiting beliefs.
Yeah, you're right about the last 12 months, but I will say for me, the mindset personal development journey is about 5 years in the making.
Yeah, yours is a bit longer.
Not to digress,
but we're recapping the last year.
Yes, in the last year.
When we've seen the most growth.
Yes, and I also want to make a comment about something that I've noticed in the last 12 months as well. One of my recap highlights is that when I compare, because we were in Florida exactly this time last year, now we're back here again. Back then, we were actually, you're right, still $65,000 in debt, but we had just started this whole journey, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember wondering what the next year was going to bring. And one of the biggest differences that I've seen in myself is now that I'm here and I'm saying to myself, does it feel different because now I'm on vacation, right? Usually when you go on vacation, you're there the whole time. It's so delicious and it feels so good because you're in a beautiful hotel and you're by the pool and it feels so luxurious, right? So you feel different. You feel happier, right? That's what vacations are for the most part, I think. Get away from the day-to-day, the routine, and do something nice. But I've noticed my vibration when I'm here is not different than it is when I'm home.
Yeah.
It's not different. We're in a beautiful setting. Yes, we're in warmer weather. We're in a beautiful hotel. We're by the pool. We're doing all the things that feel luxurious. Inside, I feel the same because I tap into these feelings all day at home. Mm-hmm. I feel abundant. I feel luxurious. I feel that gratitude every day. And I would say that's the goalpost here. This is what we are so passionate about helping other people tap into. Mm-hmm. You don't need to be on a vacation to feel abundant. You don't need to take yourself out of your day to day in order to feel that joy and that happiness and that sense of peace. You can actually have all of those feelings every single day. If you learn how to do it, right? If you learn how to change your vibration, you can do that regardless of where you are or what you're doing. And that's really what life is about. Life is about feeling that sense of peace, joy, and gratitude, regardless of where you are. You shouldn't need to go to a pool or a beach. Those things are really amazing, and we're making core memories for our family and our children. But my sense of joy is the same at home.
Yeah, it is. Well, definitely. You've had a huge shift in your energy, your mood, your attitude, everything, your outlook, your perspective, as have I. But one thing you said is like your energy can be different all year round. And for us, that's what we've achieved through personal development and the growth that we've seen. And that's really the growth that's meant the most. The real estate is great, financial freedom, whatever. None of those things mean anything if you don't have enriched relationships, meaningful, deep, loving relationships with the people in your life, right? So if you can have $100 million in net worth, if you are alone and you are a miserable person and you don't treat people kindly, you will be an empty shell of a human being and you will have no fulfillment in life. You see it all the time. But the true gold, the true value is in becoming that person. And I think I say this all the time to our new students is personal development is really starting to align with the universe and God's plan for you to be your best self. Because when you start to get on the right path to becoming your best self and untapping your potential, that's when you perform in a way that you attract abundance, people in your life like being around you. Everything sort of falls into place and you find your purpose and fulfillment. And that's worth more than all the money in the world. And that's what we found. We found our purpose. We have complete fulfillment through that purpose. And I think that's the most valuable thing that I would take away from this past year and the journey that we're on in personal development. And I don't know if you can put a price on that because it's an intangible. And I think everyone in life is seeking that one thing. Like purpose and fulfillment are at the top, because through those two things, you will be happy no matter what. It doesn't matter what, like Tamar said, it doesn't matter where you are. It can be snow, sleet, rain. It doesn't matter if your car's broken down on the side of the road. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's happening in your environment. If you have purpose and fulfillment in your life, you are fulfilled. Your heart is full and you go to bed every night feeling so overwhelmed with peace and love and harmony that you want to wake up the next day and do the same thing over and over again, which is a total shift from, damn, I got to get up and go to this job. And that sucks. Right?
Yeah. I was going to say too, another really big highlight for us, I would say, over the past 12 months is the way that we parent. I think that we've really begun to encourage our children's creativity rather than encouraging them just to do well in school. Because the school system is not designed around every individual's learning needs. And we found that with our older son. He really struggled for a few years. We ended up making a complete change of environment for him, switching him to a different school that's able to work with his learning preferences. Because what we're realizing is that the school system is amazing and like God bless all teachers. But sometimes in certain curriculums, it's very sort of one-sided and the focus is memorizing information. And if you don't do that well, then you don't get a good grade. And then maybe as a child, you don't feel very good about yourself. And so I think one thing that we've been really good at over the past 12 months is really encouraging our children to get out of that box of how they're performing in school and just focus on their ability to be creative, to use their imagination, and to really be who they are. Right? Because so often with children, you try to correct their personality a lot, right? For us, manners are very important. We want them to be gentle, good, kind human beings. We want them to be polite, but that can be overwhelming in itself for a small child. And sometimes we can forget that they're just little. They're little humans that are just learning about the world. And so I think that one of the most beautiful things that we've seen is just really embracing their personalities and the way that they learn and the way that they want to experience the world. So that's been really fun. A highlight for me has been seeing their individual personalities and the things that they really enjoy and things about them that make them unique individuals.
I mean, there's no question if personal development will make you better parents, because it's just going to improve every aspect of your life. And it's definitely done that for us. I think I want to drive home the point when wrapping this episode up is wherever you are in your journey in life, if it's not where you want to be, then you need to take action and do something about it. And just stop having that perspective and those limiting beliefs that you can't. You absolutely can. 40 years of our lives, we did the same thing and it just didn't work. And it took us saying, we've had enough. We're going to do something drastically different and let's change things and let's go take a course. Let's invest in ourselves. Let's do something to better our lives. And a year later, our lives are completely 180. It's a complete difference. You wouldn't know 12 months ago, if you meet us today, that 12 months ago we were broke and in debt and working shift work, and you wouldn't know that about us. And I think I just want to say to anyone who's going through it right now and you're in a place in your life where you do feel stuck or trapped, you can change it all. You alone have the power to control the outcome of your life. And so take back control. You don't have to live by a victim of your circumstances. It's your life.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because a lot of people do meet us now and they're like, I wouldn't even know where to get started. And we're like, okay, but then, a year from now, you're still going to be doing what you're doing. And we're going to 10X what we've done.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're right. 12 months is a really huge amount of time to completely change your life.
It is. Yeah. So do it today. Do it today. Don't wait another day. If you feel stuck, take action and change your life. We'll see you on the next episode.